Colina here makes $564,000 a year, but the craziest part is it all started at her kitchen table while working her 9-to-5.
So the first year, I think we did about $150,000 in revenue just from home.
Yeah. In this video, we uncover exactly how she sold 120 candles in just 3 hours in her first ever launch.
And I had people that were like texting and I'm trying to get the candles and I'm like, they're sold out.
The $10,000 of free money she received through local initiatives that many entrepreneurs overlook.
With loans, you're always gonna have to pay it back and you're always gonna have interest, whereas it's free money.
And the costliest mistake even the smartest entrepreneurs make when starting out.
For me, it made the difference for being able to move out of my house and into our brick and mortar. I was able to still make candles on my lunch break. Within the first 6 months, we were featured in Oprah magazine.
Oprah's seal of approval.
Yeah.
You're good.
Building a candle business is very easy. You can start with something that's $1 is what I started with.
You must be Colina.
I am.
We get the door closed.
Yeah.
I'm Paul.
Colina.
Good to meet you.
Likewise.
You've got a beautiful place here.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to understand your story and how you
sure.
got Noir Lux going.
Okay, yeah.
So let's start with the first question, and that
Yeah.
is, what led to the moment of inspiration to start Noir Lux here in Seattle?
Yeah, so it actually was like a pandemic passion project. It was supposed to be a side hustle, and it completely turned into a full-time thing. When we went from being in person to being on Zoom, I was lighting candles every day just to kind of, start my day.
Woosah.
Woosah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I basically had the idea to teach myself how to make candles. Went to YouTube University, taught myself, started selling candles online, and the first drop we sold out of over 120 candles. And no one had smelled the candles yet. They were just like,
Your
okay,
name,
if you're gonna sell candles, we'll buy your candles and see how they do. And they got them and they liked them.
What were you doing before then? What was your experience prior to
So my background
that?
is in education. So I was at Seattle University for over 7 years. I was teaching there, and then the pandemic just changed everything. And I feel like for a lot of people, it was both a gift and it was obviously some very, very downsides to it. But for me, it provided new inspiration for me to start a business that I'd never imagined. And this business has been able to open doors for me and have me at tables that I never would have thought I'd be at. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to share with you guys more about Colina's journey to this point, because it's been how many years now? Going on 4?
Yeah, it's going on 4 for the business, and we just celebrated 2 years with our brick and mortar.
Congrats,
So,
yeah, and this
thank
place
you.
is gorgeous. You've
Thank you so
expanded,
much.
right? We'll show them the
Yeah.
retail space.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about this particular space and how it's utilized.
Yeah, so this is our studio space. This is where people will come in to craft their own candles. So obviously we started as a candle company, but I started getting invited to do candle making classes for people. And so that's what led to the concept of the candle bar. We have over 100 different fragrances. They craft their own candle. We walk them through the whole process, and they get to leave with something they created. So
Yeah, we'll dive into that and probably try the process ourselves.
for sure.
How much revenue did you bring in before going brick and mortar?
So the first year, I think we did about $150,000 in revenue, just purely from online sales, just from home.
Yeah.
And then I would say when we went brick and mortar, we doubled that in the first year.
Wow.
And now, last year, I think we were at around 600,000 in sales. So.
Good for you. I mean, what did brick and mortar create as far as opportunity for you that you want to highlight?
It scaled our business. It changed our whole business plan. Well, before brick and mortar, we didn't have a business plan. I was just literally I want to make candles, I want to sell them, and I just started selling them. But before I was actually able to sign a lease, I had to create a business plan. I had to do financial projections. I had to look at how to optimize and scale in that way. And being able to open a brick and mortar, I was ordering in bulk. Instead of ordering 2 to 3 boxes of wax, we're ordering 10 to 15
Cost of
at
goods
a time.
go down 'cause you
everything
order
goes
more,
down,
right?
so it could change, 10 to 15% or 20% depending on the vendor. Then again, we opened up multiple streams. So we opened up the stream of people coming in to do classes, the rentals, the retail space, and we also now carry other items by other vendors.
How difficult is it? Because I'm thinking about somebody who's already 2 years into candle making business and they're doing it from home.
Yeah.
And does it boil down to I don't want to do the retail because it's too risky, it's challenging? Or like, what do you think is the stumbling block to a lot of people from going home garage to this?
Yeah,
like,
I think that honestly, if you are just selling candles and you're not, you don't have other components to that, staying at home and being in your garage may be the best way forward, because you're not adding an extra expense of a brick and mortar, which is a monthly, rent that you have to pay. When we opened the brick and mortar, we now expanded from just being myself and my 12-year-old at the time, who's now 14. Now we have a staff of 10. So we have payroll. Our payroll is, I want to say our payroll was about $250,000 last year.
Obviously, you're taking on more risk, more opportunities.
And other people's livelihoods, So I think that it is risky. You have to really, really, really believe in your product and believe in your business plan, but you also have to map it out financially and make sure that it makes sense.
Talk to us about the transition from 9 to 5, working for someone else for many, many years, and then all of a sudden working for yourself. What do you want to highlight? The good, the bad, the in-between?
I ain't even got to walk in with my tool out. It's getting too loud.
The cool thing about, having a job, whether it's 9 to 5 for somebody else or whatever, that you enjoy, is that you can get up and go to work and feel like you have a purpose. But at the same time, I think that when you have the opportunity to use your own platform and create something, it's just so much more fulfilling. It's definitely a transition to leave something that feels secure and stable and something that you've been a part of for so long, and to start your own thing and to step out on faith and to understand there's so much uncertainty about what that looks like. I was really scared about leaving my full-time position because it was comfortable, and I think that one thing that is interesting about having your own thing is it's not comfortable, and you have to be comfortable with discomfort, which is hard.
All right, so Starbucks, the SeaTac Airport, and now Dick's chain. What's the deal? How do you get partnerships like this? Do they come to you? You came to them? Let's elaborate on as much as possible, and what does that do to your business?
The Dick's partnership, we have 3 milkshake candles.
No way, so we've got 1, 2, 3.
Strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla.
Look at that.
We also have a root beer float flavor, but it started as a April Fool's prank.
Okay,
we did that. We were supposed to sell like 100 of those, and they just sold out. And so they did a re-release and another re-release. So we ended up selling over 600 of those candles.
Wow.
And so once we did that, we kind of were like, okay, there's something here. So we released another edition, which was the root beer float, and then these just came out.
That's so cool.
And it's been really fun. Dick's is like our
your
big
brand
thing
out.
in Seattle. So they are OGs in the game, and they're giving us some shine, and I don't take that lightly. So it's
What's
really
your
cool.
advice to those looking to make those partnerships going into any business? Like, give us 2, 3 tips, you think?
First thing is just consistency with your brand and your product. I think part of the reason why, they chose us is because we have been consistently making good products, and all of our stuff is lab tested and all that stuff. So we've gone through kind of the stipulations that you might need to go through in order to partner with a bigger commercial name.
Yeah.
I would say networking is everything. The Dick's partnership came because I was a guest on somebody's podcast. The podcast producer was doing social media for Dick's. They thought of me, introduced me to somebody else. So it was just
one thing led to another.
Yeah. And then I would just say stay on your grind and just be ready. You just never know when something like this is gonna come up. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready, kind of thing.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but this market seems to be pretty saturated. Yeah, I mean,
it's extremely
more
saturated.
Accurate.
Yeah.
See, everybody seems to be making candles from home, from their stores. The price ranges from 10 to 60. What do you have to say about the industry as a whole and how you stay competitive?
Yeah.
How you stay on the top of the game? What makes you stand out? Things like that. Whatever you want to highlight.
Yeah. So when I came into the candle market was during the pandemic, and that was the boom of candle businesses in general. Candle sales went up because people were home, so they were lighting candles to woosah, just get through the day. So I came into a saturated market. So that has not been something that it has been a setback for me. I already knew what I was getting myself into. What I wanted to do is, like you said, set myself apart. I'm a Black woman-owned brand, so that in itself creates an opportunity for me to tell my story. With Black women-owned brands, usually less like 1% of them get access to capital and funding. And so
oh, wow.
a lot of times it's like you're self-made, you really got to figure it out as you go. You're building the bridge as you walk across it. So that was kind of my story. I started in my kitchen, I figured out funding, I navigated space, but also like I asked people a lot of questions. I wasn't afraid to make friends with other candle makers. So you all had interviewed a candle maker, Jazz from Black Sunflower.
Yeah,
and
hey Jazz.
Hey girl. When I first came out, like people try to pit us against each other, and they're like,
really?
oh, there's another black candle, candle company coming out. And one day when I opened my shop, Jazz walked in the doors, and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, that's Jazz.
That's cool.
And so that's how we met. She was like, I think what you're doing is dope, and I just want to show you love. And I think that's awesome. Important is like, we're not in competition with each other. Like naturally it's a competitive market, but you have to stay in your own lane. I think, okay, this is kind of corny.
You got your own story.
Listen, Kim Kardashian, she says something like, you got the recipe, but you can't make the sauce the same or something like that. That's kind of the same thing. It's like, that's real, anybody can make a candle, but they can't make candles how I make candles. And not only that, but we have the candle bar component where we're teaching people.
Right.
We're not gatekeeping information.
Not everyone's competing with that component.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something that's like everybody can't do. Everybody ain't able.
There you go. Well, what's unique about this location too? Where are we going to go next? I want to check it out.
So I'm going to take you guys to the rooftop, which is like amazing. You get one view of the Space Needle and one view of the sound, and we do a lot of like events and stuff up there. So I think you'll really enjoy it.
Cool. Let's continue the conversation there.
Cool.
I'll follow you out. Sweet. This is a gorgeous rooftop, by the way.
Thanks.
Seattle Space Needle back there.
Yeah.
Beautiful view.
Yeah.
It's cool that this comes as part of the lease for the space down there, right?
Yeah, so we negotiated in our contract to be able to utilize this space as an opportunity to kind of, rent it out for our guests.
Tell us about how you found the space. Can you break down the numbers to get going?
So when I was in the Business Accelerators program, I got some mentors and some coaches, mentioned to them that like with the $10,000 that I got from the grant, I might want to use that to open a space. And so one of my mentors was like, okay, we'll think about that, we'll consider it. And maybe a couple weeks later, she came back and said, I found a space for you. And I was like, what? I'm not ready, And she was like, no, just come check it out. And so came and did the walkthrough, and I fell in love with the space and the layout. There were other people who had already submitted a LOI, but the property team really liked me and liked the business plan. And so that is how we kind of got started with that. And then when we did the tour of the rooftop, that was like the selling point for me. And so from there, build out was about $60,000. I used the grant money, so I had about $25,000 in grants. I also had some savings from just sales, so I just took everything we made and put that back into the business. And then I did about like I want to say $25,000 small business loan.
SBA. Okay.
And I was able to get a really good rate with that because I worked with a nonprofit agency that was working to create low interest rates for people of color that were looking for businesses.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a good opportunity.
That was really nice. And so, that worked out. Rent was initially about $1,700 a month. We negotiated because that space had been vacant for so long. We were like, what if we just take on the lease to that space too? Can you work with us on that? So I think we're around I think rent is about $2,500 a month.
That's not bad though.
Yeah.
You're like in the middle of Seattle with a rooftop.
We are. We do get to utilize this space pretty often, and we do rentals up here as well as partnerships with like other organizations, nonprofit organizations. We've had people host like brunches and
that's cool.
Fundraisers and all sorts of things up here. But we built this into our revenue plan as an opportunity to rent it out and create another revenue stream.
Very smart, and that's good that the landlord's okay with you doing that, basically because you're basically subleasing for a short period of time.
Pretty much, yeah.
But most leases prohibit that.
Yeah.
So I think good tips and tricks that I'm hearing, if you're negotiating your lease, really have a plan like Colina had here for income streams and negotiate that into the lease, right? Because if you don't...
Exactly. And if we hadn't, then later on we could have come back and said, hey, do you think? But it would have been really hard to do that. So we rent this out for about $150 an hour, 2-hour minimum. And so far it's been really good.
If you have a passion for creating content, then you deserve more than likes and shares. Transforming your creative endeavors into a thriving online business can seem daunting, but with Kajabi, it's within reach. Kajabi is the ultimate all-in-one platform designed specifically for creators and entrepreneurs like you. Say goodbye to the struggle of monetizing your content because Kajabi simplifies the process, allowing you to focus on what you do best. The best part? Kajabi doesn't take a cut of your revenue because everything is owned and controlled by you. So keep 100% of what you earn. Whether you're launching an online course on entrepreneurship or hosting a viral podcast, Kajabi provides the tools you need to turn your audience into paying customers. With intuitive marketing features, in-depth analytics, and customizable web templates, Kajabi empowers you to build a profitable online presence without needing a massive following. There are thousands of creators on Kajabi making 6 and 7 figures with less than 50,000 followers. Right now, Kajabi is offering a free 30-day trial to start your business if you go to kajabi.com/upflip. That's kajabi.com/upflip. Kajabi.com/upflip and join the creators and entrepreneurs who have made over $6 billion. What sparked the idea specifically to start the candle making workshop?
So it actually was a former employer of mine, the College Success Foundation. They wanted to do a virtual candle making class. And I had never done that before, but I was like, sure, let's do it. And so I put these kits together, I mailed them out to people, and we all hopped on Zoom and we made candles together. There were about 50 people on that call.
How much did that cost for me to participate?
It was, I believe it was like a $45 or $50 price point. And they could either pick up their boxes or it would be a little bit extra for shipping. And so we all hopped on Zoom, we made these candles together, everyone had a really good time. Prior to doing that, I did a lot of research on like how other people did that and watched videos and things like that. And then yeah, we did it, it was super successful. And from that point on, people were like, can you come to my house? Can you come to my job? Can you do this again? And so I was doing that pretty often to the point where I've found myself maybe taking a day off of work or something like that, and I was just like, you know, like this is taking more of my time and this is something that I'm really finding joy in. And so that's how I thought about the idea of a candle bar.
By the way, if you want some more lucrative business ideas of your own, check out the UpFlip podcast with over 100 interviews with less talked about niches. So what are your profit margins across the 3 income streams?
Okay.
You have the candle sales, you have the workshop, and then you do the events, corporate events, etc.
Yeah, so candle sales, we've been working to improve our profit margins. I would say they're probably between like 20 to 30% in terms of,
okay, that's not bad.
You know, sales. Our in-shop sessions, I would say 30 to 40% profit margin. And then off-site where we go to these people and bring all the stuff, I would say it's probably closer to 50%. We do charge a little bit more because it requires more work.
It's a good business to be in, especially if you enjoy it and you're passionate about it.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's like as a small business owner and as a new small business owner, you really don't know. So you're like, am I doing okay? You know, and then when you talk to your accountant and they're like, you know, this is really good. You know, you're like, okay, cool. You know, but it doesn't always feel that way.
All right, Blitz time with Colina.
Okay.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Thanks, guys, for your questions. Is there something about candles that many people don't know about?
Most people might know, but candles have a aromatherapy benefit. There are health benefits and they have been documented. And data proves that like smell and aroma and candles can enhance your mood.
Why should someone choose a Noir Lux candle rather than one from, example, IKEA?
No shade to IKEA. Our candles are handcrafted. They are soy wax. We use wooden wicks. Wooden wicks are gonna burn more evenly across your candle. They help your candle last a little bit longer. As you can see, this little, you know, it's creating a full melt pool, which helps your candle last longer.
By the way, which one is this?
This is Seattle Summer. It's our #1 seller.
Ooh, all right, gotta check it out. What's a scent you tried that that didn't make the cut?
I don't have any scents that personally don't make the cut in the shop because there might be something that I like that you don't like and vice versa. So we carry over 100 fragrances in our shop. One that I don't like is petrichor. It just smells like wet dirt. But people really like it sometimes. So it just really depends on what people like.
What's the weirdest candle scent you've ever considered? I guess maybe it's gonna be this one, right?
Oh, no, you know, my husband made a candle that was fresh grass, caramel apple, and like eucalyptus or lavender or something. And I thought that I was gonna hate it. I was like, that sounds insane.
Yeah.
But people really enjoyed it.
Interesting, okay. If you could light a candle with anyone, passed away or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, okay. Well, before you said that, I was gonna say Beyonce because I love Beyonce. But my mom recently passed, and if I could light a candle with her, thank you. She worked here and loved, like, that was our thing. So
that would be a special moment.
Yeah, and we would just like.
What kind of scent would you want to make and light up?
Her favorite candle that I made was Sundays, which is peach and ginger.
That sounds good.
Yeah, every time I make that candle, I'm grateful for the times I had with my mom.
For sure. Yeah. If you could change one thing about your business, what would it be?
I would have asked for help sooner. I think that
That's fair.
I really thought that I could do everything by myself, and I thought that like by adding more staff members, it was just gonna like cost me more money. But I think if you invest in people that can actually help you grow your business, you get a return on your investment.
For sure. Last one, if you weren't making candles, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't making candles, my degree is in nonprofit leadership, and I was also a professor. So I'd be teaching and working in higher education.
That's awesome.
But I also get to educate people through the candle making process. So it works out.
That's Blitz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're at Seattle University. Why did you bring us here? How does it play into your story?
Yeah, Seattle U is where I went to school twice. So I got my undergraduate in communications and journalism. I got a master's degree in nonprofit leadership. And I also worked here for 7 years. And this is where I was working when I started my business. So
this was your 9 to 5?
This was my 9 to 5, was working here. And then, had we not gone into being remote, I don't think I would have ever felt like I had the capacity to start a business. But because we were remote, I was able to still like do my Zooms and do all the things and then make candles on my lunch breaks,
As far as growing, right, there's challenges with that. And the question that I want to highlight is inventory. How do you stay organized? I know it's never perfect. Do you have any systems you want to share with us that makes things work? You don't have a lot of space too, so that's tricky too.
Well, the little tiny space that we have is bigger than what we started with, which was my garage. So before we had this space, I was bringing everything from home, which was like, so I'm fortunate that we were able to build out this space. We created this wall so the front space would be retail and the back space is storage. For a while, it was just me trying to figure that out. Then my mom was doing it. I had hired her as our facilities manager. And so she would literally, anytime something would come in, that was her thing, organizing and restructuring stuff. And she had a gift for it that I just don't have. She passed unexpectedly in October, which was very, very, very hard for us. And she was a staple here in the shop. So just in general, that's been challenging. But in the past couple weeks, I was able to hire a store manager who we built that into their job description. So their role is to make sure when inventory comes in, they unbox everything, they track it in our inventory system, which is super helpful, and then we store everything. And then if there's anything that's kind of overflow, I'll still take some stuff home sometimes, but I really try not to do that.
What was the biggest hurdle when it came to scaling your business?
I can think of a couple of particular challenges. I would say starting in our kitchen, there's limited space, limited resources. I'd have customers that would say like, oh, I'd love to do a local pickup, and I'd have to leave their orders on my doorstep, and be like, oh, you can pick up from my house, which worked for some people, but obviously in terms of scaling was not gonna be the best idea. And then just like that whole like imposter syndrome, like, am I good enough to do this? Am I gonna be able to make it, And then on top of that, like funding. I had won some grants, and so I thought that, I had like, I'll say I had $20,000, and I was like, oh, this will be great for a build out for the store. When we came into this space, it was concrete and cement. There were no floors, there was no paint, there was no nothing. So we got our first bid, and our first bid was $80,000.
Ouch.
$10,000 for electrical. And I was like,
how did you overcome that?
So we got another bid, but also I actually was able to work with an amazing broker who looked at the contractor. She was like, you didn't ask for tenant improvements. And I'm like, what is that? And so she came in, walked the space, and went back to the, the landlords and said, hey, we really need, like, the electrical is going to be $10,000. We need you to kick in some. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah. So I was able to get tenant improvements. I was able to use my grant. And then I also took out a small business loan to build out the rest of the space.
Okay. How did you convince the bank to give you the loan? I mean, the portion was what, 30,000, just under that?
Yeah.
You went SBA. What did you learn through that process that we can take away as well?
It was a hard process. It was intense because they want to know everything about your finances. They want to see a financial plan of, 3 to 5 years of how you're going to scale the business. And they want to make sure they could get their money back. So I tried to do that by myself for a little while, and I got help building out a business plan and financial plan.
Is that the school program that helped you? Or?
Yeah, so I went back to my coaches from the Accelerators program and I said, hey, I have this opportunity. I've never done a financial plan before, but can you help me figure this out?
If they don't have a school connection too, like where do we go to get help?
There are definitely like a lot of resources online for these sorts of things. You could just Google like small business loans and then get like checklists and stuff like that. But then also search in your area to see agencies or organizations where they offer classes, they offer workshops, all sorts of things. So you just really have to be willing to like do some groundwork, but it will pay off if you're consistent with it.
Do you think anybody can build a candle business to the scale that you are today?
Yes.
What do you say to our folks about that?
I think that building any business takes commitment, intentionality, and just being purposeful in everything that you do. Building a candle business is very easy. You can start with something as small as $500 is what I started with. Not small, but it is smaller in the grand scale of things.
Right.
And take that and really build something. I would say just do your research, be prepared, stay persistent. Don't take a no as a never, just take it as a not now and figure out the next thing.
Have influencers made a tangible difference in your business? Let's talk about that as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So initially, started as e-commerce, just selling online. Within the first 6 months, we were featured in Oprah magazine as one of 25 best Black-owned candle companies. The way that happened was, I'm seeing all these lists of like candles, like best candles. Like, have you ever seen a list? It's like 25 amazing gifts for Valentine's.
Yeah.
Found all these lists and I looked up every single editor that wrote the article and I just found their contact information and emailed them. And I was like, hey, can I be your candle lady? And one lady responded and she's like, yeah, send me some candles. Next thing I know, a couple weeks later, I got a ping that Noir Lux had been mentioned and I opened the email and it was like Oprah magazine. So I didn't even know that she wrote
it was gonna go
Oprah.
there?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that was amazing. And then when we opened our brick and mortar, we had some buzz from the Oprah write-up. And so there was one particular influencer who reached out and said, hey, can I come in and do a session and create some content for you? I said, sure. She came in, she had like 15,000 followers on TikTok. And we got like a ton of bookings in one day. And it was just me working here by myself, but we were booked
overwhelming.
Back to back to back. But ultimately, I would say social media in general, just people tagging our space, taking pictures. We made it like Instagrammable so people could post about it. That has all contributed to people coming in and finding us.
Let's talk about the press. And what's been the biggest kind of a press thing that then generated a lot of business on the return end?
Yeah, we've gotten a couple things. So within the first 6 months, we were featured in Oprah magazine and we were listed as one of 25 best Black-owned candle companies, and that was really huge for us. From there, we've gotten a lot of local coverage from like news stations.
Colina's DIY candle bar has a simple concept that leaves you with a stunning takeaway.
And you can all take away.
Yeah, and you get Oprah's seal of approval.
Yeah.
You're good.
Different, write-ups and features, and those have all been crucial because for people to learn about us in those ways where like they're just watching their favorite show and we pop up on TV and they're like, oh my God, those sorts of things have been really great. But also what I would say is that, in a saturated candle market, if you're gonna do something, like be the best that you can be at it. And try to be the best in your sector, and
not everybody gets the press though. That's why we want to highlight it. Like how do you seek out these opportunities? Or if you're doing the right thing, inevitably they're going to find you. What would you say?
It's a little bit of both. Like for instance, the partnership with Starbucks, we did a press release about that. So we wrote a press release, we sent it out to news media outlets, and then we did like a launch party for that collection, and we invited the media to come in, and only a few outlets came, but they covered that, and that was really helpful for us.
What's the best place to sell candles if you don't have a brick and mortar store?
So we started out only online. So we just focused on building up an amazing website, making sure that we have really nice pictures of our candles, clear descriptions. Candles are an item that if you look at the data, like 60% of people would prefer to smell the candle and buy it in person before they buy it, right? So we had to really like ramp up the descriptions, make it sexy, appealing. And again, make sure we had good pictures. And I was doing that. I bought a light box off of Amazon, set it up in my living room and was just taking pictures. From there, I went into doing vendors markets. Vendors markets were not my favorite thing because it's a lot of work. You have to pack everything up. You have to anticipate like how many sales you might get. I came up with a formula of basically how much money I wanted to make at each market. So I would say, I want to make $2,000 at this market. So this is how many candles I would need to sell in order to do that. So if I sell out of these candles, that's great because I met my goal. And if I didn't, then I need to really like think about if this is worth my time and resources and or if my candles are that good.
Because it costs to get into these vendor
you
markets
gotta pay
right?
to be a part of the market. So you want to make your money back, and then plus like you want to, make a coin. So those are a great opportunity to get your product in front of people and to get really honest feedback. And that's the other thing. I've had people that will like smell and they'll be like, oh, and I'm like,
this is that bad?
I made that, but also you can't take it personally.
Yeah.
Scent is tied to memory, and scent is very tied to your life experiences. You could smell something and it can remind you of a place or a thing. So I don't take it personally if people don't care for it, but at the same time, I typically will ask them like, hey, what kind of scents do you typically gravitate towards? And try to basically do market research in real time.
Regarding leadership, what's something you know now that you wish you knew earlier?
For me, I've always been a person who like learns as I go, and I've always been a person who doesn't really ask for help, which I'm learning to ask for help a lot more. But when I started hiring people and I was like doing all of these things by myself, and now I have a team of people, I wasn't asking them to do things that I thought that like I should be the person to do.
So you weren't delegating?
I wasn't delegating, and what was happening was that for me, I thought it was easier for me to just be more effective and efficient, and for them, it was creating a lack of trust. They felt like I didn't trust them to do things well.
How did you sell 120 candles in 3 hours? These are the first sales that you did.
Yes. I honestly feel like it was just from having a really good village of people who are kind of like, okay, if this is what you're gonna do, we're gonna support you. And so I had friends who would buy 1 or 2, or somebody, the collection was a collection of 5. So somebody would be like, I'm gonna buy all 5 of them, I honestly had no expectations for how that day was gonna go. I made 120 candles thinking I'd have them for a couple weeks, then they would sell, and then I'd re-up and do it all over again. But they sold out in 3 hours, and I had people that were like texting and emailing like, I'm trying to get the candles, and I'm like, they're sold out, and so that actually shifted my mindset on like the model, because I initially thought I would, make them, sell them, make them again. And from that point on, I was like, maybe this is actually like they're made to order kind of thing, rather than having people go to my website and everything's sold out all the time.
Gotcha.
So shifted to the made to order model, and we've been doing that ever since.
What platform did you move them through? Is it just, again, the website that you already had set up?
Yes, people purchased through the website. I had my own personal Instagram was where I was initially pushing it.
Gotcha.
But I did create an Instagram for the business, and so people started following the business, and then Facebook. And so it expanded outside of my, little network, and then people were like, oh, what's this? This is different. This is, cool business, small business will support. And so, yeah, it's kind of grown from there.
Snowball effect.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Love this episode? Wait till you see what's next. We're diving into the pioneers of cold brew who started roasting out of their basement. Take a second to like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Colina, earlier we promised everyone watching that we're going to share some secrets as to free startup capital.
Yeah.
That's available to most entrepreneurs. So walk us through your journey, where that capital came from, how others in the USA in general can find it and take advantage of it. I mean, free startup capital.
I know, yeah. You need the coins, right?
Yeah.
So my background is in the nonprofit sector, and I specifically was a college prep advisor for a really long time. And I would help young people find money for school, and they would apply for grants and scholarships and all sorts of things. And I told them, I'm like, it's literally like a part-time job. Like, you have to research, you got to prepare, sometimes you have to write essays and all sorts of things. But at that time, I would tell them to apply to like 3 to 4 scholarships or 3 to 4 grants a week just to try to get as much money as possible. So I was able to kind of take that same concept when I started my business, and I'm like, where's the grant money? What does that look like? Because, you know, obviously there are opportunities for small business loans, but with loans, you're always gonna have to pay it back and you're always gonna have interest, whereas grant is free money, right? So I started looking for grant opportunities in my city specifically, and then also nationally. And you can Google like grants for small businesses. You can follow like Instagram pages that post things. There's a couple that I follow. One is the 15% Pledge. They post grant opportunities, I think weekly, and they'll tell you where you can find grants. A lot of times it's all you have to do is record a video and tell us your story.
Is it more like a lottery, or like 100 people apply and only one receives it?
It typically depends. So there were some grants when I first started that I applied for that they awarded, I think, like 10 to 15 small businesses in our area. I went through a business accelerators program, which was through my university. And so I went to Seattle U, and then I, as an alum, had an opportunity to apply for one of their business accelerator programs that was for alums. And so I would say if you have some sort of like connection to an institution, a university, organization that offers, scholarships or grants, look into that as well.
For sure.
And that particular program for me, I won $10,000 at the end of that program. Oh, wow. It was an intense program. There were different milestones that you had to meet in order to get the money. It was over a timeline of like 6 to 8 months. So it wasn't like a easy just, apply and get the money sort of thing. But for me, it made the difference for being able to move out of my house and into our brick and mortar.
What is the single most important piece of advice you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Thinking of one piece of advice is really hard, but I would say to don't be deterred in what you're passionate about, and understand that, if there's something that brings you joy and something that you can scale, figure out how to articulate that and figure out how to build on that, but don't let anybody that doesn't understand it make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. Learn as much as you can, continue to learn, and then learn again, because it's a cycle.
Does the candle business seem more lucrative than you first thought? Then you can't miss episode 121, where UpFlip takes you through a day in the life of a $300,000 a year candle business entrepreneur. Make sure to check it out. Take a second to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.